presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine, with your host, me, James Patrick Regan, otherwise known as Jimmy from the Deadlies. And today I'm speaking with guitarist Vicki Peterson from the Bangles, amongst other bands. In our conversation, Vicki discusses living back in LA after living in New York and New Orleans, and how the fires affected her and her husband, John Cowsill. Vicki tells us about her childhood in LA and her passion for guitar early on, being influenced by the Beatles, which led to her high school bands and playing clubs in the greater LA area. Vicki describes her gear early on and throughout her career, including her Gibson Les Paul that's had a broken headstock 3 times, and tells us about her collection of guitars. She also tells us about where she does her guitar shopping. Vicki talks about the Bangles model guitar she helped design for Daisy Rock Guitars, and Vicki describes early LA opening for a punk band called the Alley Cats, and how that eventually led to the Bangles record deal. Vicki tells us about her new album with her husband John Cowsill, covering the songs of his brothers, entitled Long After the Fire. And Vicki tells us about her contribution to the album, which is mostly vocal, and the shows they've done supporting the album, opening for the Smithereens. Finally, Vicki describes what she and her husband John do for fun, singing for their friends and contemporaries. To find out more about what Vicki and her husband John Cowsill are up to, you can go to their website, Vicki Peterson and JohnCowsill.com. Get ready, VickiPetersonandJohnCowsill.com. Please like, comment, share, and most of all, review this podcast. I'd really appreciate it. And please support Vintage Guitar Magazine and all the wonderful things they do for us guitar players, because they do so many wonderful things for us guitar players. Here's my friend Vicki.
Oopsies. Hello.
Hey. Hi, Vicki. How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm
good.
Are you live back in LA now?
I am.
Yeah.
Back in LA.
And how do you like it after living in Louisiana?
I miss New York.
Oh.
Actually. We came back late last year, so it was just in time for everything to catch on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Were you affected by the fires other than...
Yes.
Oh.
We were very lucky in that we didn't lose any property, but we were evacuated. We almost evacuated for the Franklin fire in December. It was very close to our neighborhood, but it was blowing towards the ocean, so we were lucky. And then in January, we were evacuated for 2 weeks. Yeah.
And did you give any thought to moving away after the fires?
That would be a yes. We definitely gave thought to it. I mean, I've lived in this neighborhood here in Malibu Canyon for since the late 80s, actually, early 90s. But I lived in New Orleans for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I spent the 90s in New Orleans for the most part, and but during that time, I think I've been evacuated like 8 times. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It starts to feel like, I don't know.
So you grew up in Northridge?
Yes. I was born in beautiful downtown Burbank and spent my childhood in Northridge. And then in high school, beginning of high school, I moved down to the South Bay area with my family.
Okay. So. And how early on did you start playing guitar?
I really started in wanting a guitar since I was 4 or 5.
Wow.
I talked my parents finally into getting me an electric guitar when I was 9.
Wow.
4th grade. So that was a big year for me, getting that first electric guitar. Because before that, it was, Sears and Roebuck,
Sure.
Or even before that, it was a plastic. I remember my first guitar was plastic.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, as a 5-year-old, I'm going, this isn't a real guitar,
Did it have Mickey Mouse ears?
I was not amused. No, it wasn't a branded guitar that way. It was just yellow plastic. I just remember it being sort of a cream color yellow plastic. And then when I complained, so then I got an actual wooden guitar, the folk singer model, it was called.
Okay.
So it had one of those rope straps.
Sure. Yeah.
But it was made of wood, so
of course.
That's legit.
And what inspired you to play the guitar? What was out there?
I have to blame the Beatles, I guess, because something about just the way they wielded guitars seemed so much fun.
Yeah.
And it just attracted me more than drums or anything else, or any other kind of wind instrument or anything. I wasn't exposed to anything like that.
Yeah.
Just exposed to AM radio, and it was all about the guitar as far as I could see.
Yeah. And how early on did you start playing with other people?
Oh, that wasn't until high school.
Okay.
Yeah, I started. I started sort of a female Simon and Garfunkel sort of ensemble with my best friend Amanda, and then we realized we wanted to go beyond that, and we needed a bass. We needed a bass player, so we did our first 2 shows with her playing bass lines on a guitar, on my original electric guitar. Actually, my one I got when I was 9, which was an Electro. It was a Japanese Rickenbacker copy.
Yeah.
Which I have, actually. I don't have the first one, but I was able to replace it, so I won very much like it. It's so funny. But the guitar case, this to my, 4th grade brain, the guitar case looked just like George Harrison's. So I was, it was silver,
Did you play, so you played in bands in high school. Did you play in the high school band?
No. I never played in the official ensemble. I sang in the Madrigals, which is our a cappella, like top tier vocal group.
Sure.
And loved that.
Yeah.
Had a great experience with that. To me, that was, singing harmony is obviously hugely important to me. So doing, 4-part, 8 vocal, a cappella.
Sure.
Madrigals. Mostly we were singing a lot of, 12th century pieces of music. It was.
And it probably taught you a lot about music.
It did, and even more fun was around Christmas time, around the holidays, we would go on tour, and meaning that we could skip classes, and we sang in malls, we sang at hospitals and old folks' homes, as they called it.
And so in high school, when you started your band, did you guys play out?
We did, yeah. We ended up playing. I mean, of course, we played, middle school dances and high school dances, but we also started playing in clubs. And so we were playing in clubs in the South Bay area, in sort of the Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach area. Sure. And then by the time we were just graduated from high school, we were playing in clubs in Hollywood and West LA, Santa Monica, all over Southern California. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of gear were you using at that point?
I had my guitar at that point, I went from the Electro, which I sold. I bought a Univox because it was cheap, a Strat copy, which was stolen. And once that was stolen, I then purchased my first Les Paul, which was great. So to me, that was a real grown-up guitar. That was my first grown-up guitar. It's a Les Paul custom, beautiful. I still love it. I just lucked out on this guitar. It's a 1973, I think, and I still have it to this day. Its neck has been broken 3 times.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't get to leave the house anymore. But it just still plays like a dream. I don't know what it is about this one, but it's special. Yeah. Yeah, I got that, and then I also got lucky. I bought a
what color? Sorry, what color is that?
It's a cherry sunburst.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Great.
It's got a nice sunburst to it. And then I bought a tobacco sunburst Strat, a 67, 63 combo.
Wow. And
yeah.
What were you using for amps?
For amps, for way too long, I was playing through a Fender Twin. And I only say that not against twins or Fenders in general. They don't give me love. I think it's because they're so powerful. You can't play loud enough to make the amp really do what it needs to do. It's probably better for a keyboard or that sort of thing. But way too long. And then I kept thinking it's me. And then the first time I played through a Deluxe, I went, oh my God, this is where have you been all my life? That was a whole different feeling. I had this beautiful combo amp that I actually bought from Peter Case that I played for a long time in like early Bangle days. Still have that amp.
What kind of combo?
Fender combo.
Oh, okay, all right. And so what was it like? What was LA and Hollywood like when you're coming up?
Well, it was kind of fragmented. It was sort of after the first wave of the punk music movement, so that was still around. Actually, it was still flourishing. Actually, we made friends with a band called the Alley Cats, who were sort of South Bay centric, and they just took us under their wing. They were the nicest people to us. They probably don't want me to tell you that they were nice people because they're a pretty hardcore punk rock band, so talented. And they just, for whatever reason, loved us. And so we would play little dive bars in Redondo Beach and open for them, for like weeks at a time.
Wow.
Yeah, really fun. And this was when it was just my friend Amanda and my sister Debbie and I in the band. It was just a trio.
Yeah.
And for quite a while, actually.
And were you singing?
Yes. I was singing. I was writing most of the songs. Debbie and I took turns doing the lead vocals, but...
Wow. Very good. How did you catch the attention to get your record deal? Well, that was a few years down the line after we were sort of had been playing these clubs and being involved sort of tangentially in these different scenes. Amanda, who's our bass player, went off to London to get her history degree. So it was down to just Debbie and I, and that's when we met Susanna. And so when we met Susanna, we kind of reshuffled, reformed, rethought what we were doing. And really our love of 60s rock and psychedelic rock and mixed in with like 1970s era Southern California canyon folk, I guess you could call it. Mamas and Papas, James Taylor, Joni Mitchell. Yep. And then bands like the Yardbirds and, just this mashup of 60s influences for us. We were all just as children so strongly indoctrinated in that music. We took that and kind of started writing pop songs that were 2 minutes and 12 seconds long. Were you able to see any of these bands early on?
Never did.
Never did?
No, I was too young as a kid. And no, I think the earliest I did see Carole King at the Greek Theater in the 70s. I went with my older sister. And my dad took me to see Creedence Clearwater. Oh, wow. Saw them play the Forum. Yeah. But no, none of the English bands or anything. It was just sort of, we were too young.
Yeah. How about later on? Did you get to see any of the bands that you idolized early on?
I did, but you're seeing a different version of them.
Sure.
Yep. That way. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you collect guitars at all?
Unintentionally. I'm not a collector. I'm not an archivist. I'm sort of a very sloppy collector in that I collect them when I need them, and then I never get rid of anything. Oh God, it's ridiculous. I have what we call the guitar closet, and there are way too many guitars in there that I should release to the wild, definitely, and will probably in the near future, especially if I'm moving. Yeah. We'll have to set up a market of some sort and get rid of. So I have some pretty strange things I've collected over the years, but I have my core group.
What are they?
Like for instance, let me ask you this. Okay, you've got 20 minutes to leave your house. What guitars do you take?
Yeah, that's
before a fire comes and wipes it all away.
All of them.
Good luck with that.
And I leave the pets.
Yeah. Okay. No, anything with a heartbeat gets to go first. But no, I always take said Les Paul. Yes. Said Stratocaster. Mm-hmm. I have a Gretsch Country Classic Junior that I've become very fond of. Okay. That is actually my second one of those. The first one was stolen, and my husband miraculously was able to find an exact same guitar. Wow. Thrift shop somewhere. So who knows? Maybe it really was. I didn't have the serial numbers, but it's a remake of it's like the Country Classic, but it's a Junior. It's a slightly smaller body. Yeah. I love that guitar, and have played that in recent years quite a bit. That probably would take my Gibson J45 acoustic, sort of my main acoustic. Yeah. Although I'm still in the market still sort of searching for the perfect acoustic. So.
But so for instance, you're searching for your dream acoustic. Mm-hmm. Where would you go? Where would you go to find this?
I don't know. I mean, I bought my J45 from my friends at True Tone Music here in Santa Monica, with a wonderful, wonderful music store. and great people.
Sure.
I'd probably start there again, and then if I found something, or something like something, and then maybe I'd put out some feelers and kind of see if they knew someone who would have one. I don't know. I like the warmth of the Gibson, but
Sure.
but it's almost too muddy sometimes.
I like to think of it as splashy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like the real thin, brittle acoustics. Don't have to name names, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Probably. So somewhere in the middle, you know.
All right. That's fair enough. And you mentioned that the Les Paul has been broken 3 times. Do you have a repair guy that you go to normally?
It has been repaired different places over the years. It's been decades. I recently took it to Mike Peters. He's a guitar luthier, and actually he lives in the beach areas. And I know him through his association with the Beach Boys and my husband when my husband was touring with the Beach Boys.
Okay.
And he used to work on guitars for them, but he makes beautiful, beautiful instruments. And he did the last version of the Salvation of the Neck.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. And you worked with Daisy Rock for a while? Is that correct?
Absolutely. And rely on my Daisy Rocks, man. I'll say it here. I want them to reissue the Bangles edition because it's such a nice guitar, and people ask me about it all the time. So I've been touring with that recently. Actually, I'm playing out with my husband John Cowsill.
Sure.
And I bring that one because it's so light, it's so tourable, and it sounds really diverse. It's versatile.
Sure.
You know, it's got these little mini humbuckers that, you know, if you wanted to crunch, it will crunch, you know, but it also has a lovely shimmer to it.
Yeah.
So,
very cool. Do you have any vintage guitars?
real vintage, more
Real
vintage,
vintage, yeah.
63 or 73 is vintage now.
Yes, it is.
God, I saw a car, a beautiful Mercedes the other day, and the license plate said antique, and I go, oh, what year is it? It's 88. It's like, oh God. What does that make us? Other than I don't have anything from the 50s or 40s. I wish I did, but I consider my Les Paul and my Fender Strat vintage.
Sure. How about amps? Do you have an amp collection?
I have a very small amp collection because I just have what I use, which is my deluxe, which is lovely.
Uh-huh. Do you know what era that's from? Is it
it's pre-CBS, but just
so blackface.
Yeah, blackface.
Yeah. Okay.
It's also been in a flood.
Oh wow!
It's been a flood in New Orleans.
Oh wow!
And my bandmate Robert Mache rescued it literally from a house that had flooded, and over the years rehabilitated this amp.
Uh-huh. And
so it is a survivor, man. And we still use that all the time. I have a Bluesman that I inherited. It looks like it's so shredded. The tweed, the covering is so shredded. We call it the Wookiee because it's a fur ball at this point. But it sounds incredible.
Yeah.
I also have a Swart amp that I use. That's kind of like
Michael Swart.
Yeah, and that's my workhouse amp in the studio. That's what I rehearse with mostly. It's again very versatile and just you can't hurt it, and it sounds amazing. It sounds incredible.
Is it? Do you know what model that would be?
I don't. Off the top of my head. It's the only one I had. So I learned about them through our friend Bill Mooney, who had one, and I fell in love with it at his house, and so and bought one.
Right on. And the new album, how did you guys achieve? I understand the whole concept behind the songs were John's brother's songs that never got recorded. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Or were recorded, but we just wanted to sort of bring them forward again. Mm-hmm. Many of them were recorded, especially Bill's songs, were recorded either by his band Blue Northern or his band The Blue Shadows in Canada, out of Canada.
And early on, were you familiar with the Cowsills?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
No, I was a huge fan as a kid.
Okay.
Because actually, I have to give them credit. They were one of the bands that I saw and identified with. I was watching a girl my age exactly dancing on Ed Sullivan's show, and I'm thinking they were like, "Hey, now she can do it, I can do it," So they were very actually inspirational to me, and they also, of course, worship the intricate harmonies of the Beach Boys, Four Freshmen, all the long history of harmony singing, as well as Beatles, etc. So we had a similar upbringing.
Yeah, of course. And you guys just out of the blue said, "Hey, there's these songs, we should record them."
Well, it was a pretty long-toothed idea. We thought of it. We thought of the idea maybe 10 years ago, like a long time ago, just in conversation, and like, "Hey, we should do something. We should record like Bill and Barry songs. That would be amazing. That would be great. They're not here anymore to bring their own stuff forward again." And it just took us. John was still touring on the road a lot. I was touring with the Bangles off and on at that point, and it just took us a long time for us to be in the same place, same time to actually. Okay, let's get this rolling. And then once we got it rolling, of course, then it timed inconveniently with the year that I wanted to spend in New York. So I'm like, no, okay, I'm moving to New York. And now I'm commuting twice a month back to my house in California to make this record. It was sort of silly, but I'm glad we did it when we did, because it all fell together beautifully.
And it's a wonderful album.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of it, actually.
Yeah. I liked your solo. It was Sound on Sound. Is that the
sound? Yeah.
I like that solo a lot.
Thank you.
And you didn't actually play much guitar on it. Is that correct?
Not a lot on this one. And that's the first record I've ever made where I didn't play guitar on almost every single song. So it's pretty weird. I handed over the reins to our producer, Paul Allen, who is absolutely brilliant on every instrument. It's so annoying. He's quite the, well, he probably was a prodigy. Actually, he's too old to be a prodigy now, but he's, a beautiful player on every instrument. He's a very considered instrument. He thinks about what he's doing. He's intentional with what he does,
Yeah.
And he just played some beautiful music.
Yeah. And you guys are going to tour that album with the Smithereens.
Yeah, we have been. We would. You say tour, and that sounds like a very organized stretch of dates. We've been doing very sort of scattershot dates whenever we could fill something in or pick something up, or our goal was also to just be support act for as many bands as we can, because that gets us in front of audiences, and also we're very light and portable. There's only 2 or sometimes 3 of us. Sometimes Paul comes out and plays with us, so we don't get in the way.
Yeah.
So we've been doing that. We've been opening for the Smithereens, and we just did a slew of dates with the -5 from up in Portland area. My sister joined them on stage. We had a blast. We had so much fun.
Right on.
And then we're just doing, a run of dates on our own. We're playing in July here in California, and then we've got some things come up in the Midwest. And then going to Canada next year. So we've got some things that are sort of finally kind of congealing into what you might call a tour, but this time it's just a bunch of shows.
And so when you do these dates, are you just playing acoustic, or are you playing electric as well?
I'm playing electric and John plays acoustic.
Oh, right on. Right on. So you'll be bringing what guitar will you be bringing?
It depends on where we're playing, but if I'm getting on an airplane, it'll probably be the Daisy Rock.
Okay. All right. And what about amp?
Well, I've been playing with the Fly Rig.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that?
No.
Wish I'd get it and show it to you.
That's okay.
It's
who makes it?
It's made by, I just got it pretty recently, Tech 21. That's it.
Tech 21. Okay.
I thought it was Tech 21.
Yeah.
Obviously. Okay.
Sure.
So big company. And it's fantastic because it is that big.
Yeah.
And it works as an amp. It works as a distortion pedal. It works as a tuner. It works as a, two different kinds of amps, actually. A blonde amp and then a crunchy or overdriven amp.
Sure.
You can put delay, reverb. There's parameters for everything.
Yeah.
And
so you don't need a pedal board at all.
No, you don't even need an amp.
Yeah.
'Cause now this goes against my normal thing. Is just like guitar, cable, amp. Like let's just strip it down to that. But with this album, we were loving the delay, and we're loving the reverb.
Sure.
Loving the crunch.
Yeah.
So it just all plugs in XLR straight to the sound system.
Yeah, that's great.
So couldn't be more portable than that.
No, not at all. Not at all. And when you recorded the solo on the album, what were you using for that?
That I used, I believe I used the Strat for that, or I used the Strat a lot on this album, but I might have used the Les Paul I think I used the Les Paul for that. I used the Love Thing Les Paul.
Yeah.
And put it through the Deluxe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so in the heyday of the Bangles, what were you using for gear? Not to be too gear specific, but
that's what this is, man. Well, actually, for a while, I kind of went back and forth for different things, and always the Les Paul always came. But I was also for a while sponsored by Carvin guitars.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they get a lot of shit, but boy, they made some really beautiful guitars.
I mean, people respect them. I don't think they get a lot of shit.
Okay, good. Yeah. I mean, they used to. I'll say that. Now I think people appreciate them.
Yeah.
And people, and plus there's a little nostalgic thing about it because they were so 80s.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
In their designs and the sounds, very, very hard crunch, very, rock, but good, solid guitars, really nice guitars. I still have a number of them. I think I did get rid of one. I did sell one, let it go to a charity, actually. Okay. But I have a number of them, and I still love them.
Was it a model that they made for you, or was it
no,
just off the rack?
No, they were always just, they did make me a beautiful 12-string.
Oh wow.
Which I love. Yes, which was electric 12-string.
Yeah,
which was pretty great. Yeah, and I used their amps for a while too.
Okay. Like that.
But then I was using a mitigator. And a huge rack of effects at one point. It was just like the opposite of the fly rig.
Yes.
It was so much stuff.
Did Bradshaw make you a rack at some point? No.
I don't think so.
No. But you had a rack, nonetheless.
I did.
Yeah. And how many cabinets would you have? Would you have your cabinets on stage, or would they be off?
Yeah. Oh no, they were on stage. Everything was on stage, and I would just, do one or two. We weren't doing like major.
No.
I did play through a 50 watt and then a 100 watt Marshall head at one point. It was always a struggle because we wanted to rock, but we're also a vocal band.
Yes, exactly.
And trying to get, and this is even pre, in-ear monitors.
Oh, of course.
Trying to get your voice over the, the loud band.
Yeah.
Was always a struggle.
Yeah. And how loud was the sound on stage?
We didn't blow at people. I mean, it wasn't like this, but we were pretty loud.
Yeah. And any chance of doing more dates with the Bangles, or no?
Well, maybe. I never say never. And it's always, we have a few things in the works right now. We just had a biography come out a few months ago. We're working on a documentary. Mm-hmm. Just had a meeting about that this morning. So we've got some things coming up. So you never know.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you and John do for fun outside of music?
Everything else, because it's so funny. We've been married for 23 years, 22, and just recently started working together. And so up until now, our life has been very, domestic. I mean, we both have obviously musical careers and things that we're doing and projects. And John was, like I said, on the road for much of those 20 years. So so now it's just we do go out and see friends play, especially when we were in New York. We went out all the time and supported friends, and also were very often guest vocalists at shows. And that was what I loved doing that in New York. Uh-huh. We made some great friends in New York and got to sing just, at tribute shows. It would be like a, Burt Bacharach tribute show, or,
wow.
Country duet tributes, or, Alanis Morissette's birthday, things I would never get to sing, a Patsy Cline song. I would, just things that you just never would imagine you got to do. So we took advantage of a lot of that when we were in New York, and so we're sort of reconnecting here in LA. We're sort of finding our tribe again back here. But other than that, it's life. Where John's fixing the washing machine. Fortunately for him, he's very gifted at being a handyman.
He's a drummer, right?
He's a drummer, and he's got that sort of
the handiest people.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, it's been wonderful talking to you, Vicki. I really appreciate your time. I
appreciate you asking. It's been lovely.
And you're going to be playing in Berkeley, and I will be there.
Oh, you're going to be there?
Yeah, I'm in Napa, so I'm.
Perfect! Oh, love it. Okay, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Right on. Thank you very much.
We'll see you then.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Have Guitar Will Travel. You can catch up on all the things I'm doing at thedeadlies.com. And I'm on all the social media platforms as well. And please support Vintage Guitar and all the wonderful things they do, because they do many, many wonderful things for us guitar players. Thanks. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.